We are live.
We
Why
are.
is it
There we
going?
go. Yeah.
Oh, there we are. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen of the rugby sphere and media sphere and YouTube land and Facebook world and all that sort of stuff. Welcome to this week's episode of Mauls, Balls and All. You're all very welcome. Joining me this evening are some familiar faces, some not. We have our Irish Munster supporter in Glasgow. We have Mike Reedy. We have also, God, I'm surrounded by Munster people here. Our colleague Richard Holland. I'm only joking. Richard Holland.
I'm in exile.
You're in exile, okay.
So
Richard Holland is also with us. And also joining us, Clontarf's finest, we have Dara Weston. Dara, gentlemen, how the hell are you?
All good, bye. All good.
Okay. Now, our guest this evening, ladies and gentlemen, he is a very proud Kildare, a Thai man. If you are unaware of who he is, which I doubt any decent rugby fan would be, he was part of Ireland's under-20s 2019 squad who won the Grand Slam. He then went on to play for Leinster for 3 years. He won 11 caps with Leinster. He then moved on to and is currently with Exeter Chiefs. He on the team, on that 2019 under-20s team, just a few standout players that he played with, so people kind of can gauge or a radar of what we're talking about. Coached by Noel McNamara, who was a guest on our show actually in the past. We are talking about players that our guest played with: Craig Casey, Dylan Tierney Martin, Josh Wycherley, Thomas Clarkson, Scott Penny, and would you believe it or not, Ryan Baird was on the bench. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest this evening is the one and only Martn Moloney. Martin, how the hell are you? Are you well, buddy?
I'm good, Peter. Thank you very much for that very kind introduction. I also a big shout out to Ger Brennan, who I believe is known as El Presidente in these spheres. Ger Brennan and myself go way back, and he was the president of Attire FC, my home club, last year when they won their first Provincial Towns Cup since 1984. So he's done an incredible job in my home club. That means a huge amount to me. So shout out Ger, and shout out to anyone who's listening from the Thai Rugby Club.
Well, I'll tell you what, Martin, Ger never mentioned that to me. I don't know what's going on.
I'm sure he didn't.
As far as we're concerned, Ger is president for life.
Yeah. Like
I think had he not had his commitments with the Thai, he could have maybe given Catherine Connolly a run for her money and ended up in the Oris and made rugby the true national sport of Ireland.
There you
Yes,
go.
I agree,
Okay, I see people logging on here. Bevan, let me see here, Bevan. Evening all. Welcome to the show, Martin. Indeed. Welcome.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Gregor Galway, evening all. Okay, thank you. Hello, Bev. Hi, Martin. Gregor. Okay, I tell you, Martin, I just to softball into what we might be talking about. This last Six Nations, Martin, was it in your lifetime? I've probably seen more Six Nations than you have. But in your own lifetime, Martin, was that one of the best or the best Six Nations tournament that you've ever witnessed?
Yeah, I think for me, absolutely. It was the unpredictable nature, really, I think, of the entire competition that had us all obviously enthralled in the drama of it. It reminded me actually of the Prem in ways that we play over here. With the Prem, you look at the list of fixtures every weekend, and it's actually really hard to predict the winners of any games. Really, there might be one game in there where you think that's an easy prediction.
Yeah.
But I think by the end of the competition this year, which hasn't really been the case in recent years, by the end of the competition, you were looking at the three fixtures, and you really couldn't tell with any great certainty who'd be coming out on top in most of the games, really.
Well, I'm sure, Martin, the bookies made a fortune because I'd say accumulators went out the window You know,
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you have? I won't say a favorite game. Actually, yeah, I will say. Did you have, Martin, a favorite Irish performance? Was it the English game? Was it the Scottish game? Certainly wasn't the French game. Did you have
No,
you know?
yeah, my favorite Irish performance was definitely that English performance, and how obviously the players reacted to the situation they were in, which obviously wasn't ideal at the time, and to come out and produce such a dominant performance, which was such a physical performance, on that day, I think was a massive statement of where the team was truly at, which I don't think was reflected in the few games previously. So I think from a statement point of view, in terms of the Irish performances, that was up there obviously as the best in my opinion. Game of the Six Nations for me as a whole, I think you can't look past that England French.
I was going to say that. Yes. Go on.
Yeah. I don't think you can look past that. I'm here in Exeter, and in Exeter we're not overly happy with the selections have left out obviously Henry Slade and Greg Fisselow, who have been in serious form for us, and Emmanuel Feo-Boso is injured at the moment. So we'd love to have more representation in there, and we think like Slade and Greg could have added hugely to the team. But to see the incredible rugby that was played and just the all-out attack nearly style of rugby, I actually watched the highlights of it earlier on today with one of my teammates who live in the apartment here, and it was just incredible, really. Both teams were there just to attack as much as they could. It was a physical game. Nothing was given easy, but yeah, the scoreline was incredible as well. So yeah, that was probably my favorite game of the Six Nations, I would say.
Excellent. Okay, but community, and because Martin, you're playing at the top of your game, right? Pro rugby player. I always love to ask players this, and
don't ask him how much he's earning. No, don't.
Well, we agreed to that one.
I've never asked any professional rugby player we've had on the show before. No, Martin, the question I wanted to ask you was how does the mindset change from us playing France, and we were, let's be honest, we were well beaten. How does that, what gets into their head, a player's head? You know this. You're there on the front line, week in, week out. What changes, or how does it change to reset your mindset to go out and then do that against England? It was a completely different skill set, performance, everything. It was just a completely different team. Same players, different, similar players, but different team. Martin, how it is a mindset thing, isn't it? Or is it a coaching thing? Or how does that work?
I actually think that's a great question, to be honest. And I'm just thinking back to my I actually have a quite recent experience of something similar. So I played a lot in the Prem Cup over here, which this year, and we had a relatively successful campaign up until the weekend. But early on in our season with the Prem Cup, we went away to Sill, and we had a really poor performance in a pretty bad storm up there. I think was the score something along the lines of 33-7, so or something along the lines of that. And our team were probably feeling in a similar way to how after week one the lads would have felt. Then actually our best performance of the block came the following week against Bristol. This was in November, I think, against Bristol at home. When Bristol had a pretty stacked team, and we just went out. We were probably as physical we had been all year, and we just put out a really great performance. I think you mentioned the mindset shift. I think the mindset is probably right in the first place. Nobody is going. Nobody, for us, for example, when we went to Sale, we were ready to go out, and we were pumped up, as you might describe it, or whatever. We were ready to go and win the game. Our mindset was in the right space. But I'd say after a result like that, or after a game you're unhappy with individually and collectively, I suppose, pressure comes on from within, from yourself, and you start to expect more of yourself than maybe what you gave the following week, even though your mindset might have been in the right place. You need to, when you produce a poor performance, you need to expect more of yourself, and there's probably internal pressures from yourself to get more out of yourself than maybe you've given the week before. And I think when everybody's feeling that individually and collectively as a team, there's a bit of desperation to show that there is more of you. I think that can be quite dangerous. Jim Hamilton actually referred to that, and I think on the Rugby Pod recently, about in reference to that Irish team, how they were feeling in that, and that's probably how we felt after that Sale game, going into the Bristol game. We felt desperate to show that there was more of us. We felt internal pressure to show everybody that there was more of us than what we showed the previous week. So I don't think. Yes, I think the mindset was probably always in the right place. I don't think the mindset would have been not in the right place one week and then in a better place next week. But you definitely have, after a performance that you're not happy about, both individually and collectively, when you're desperate to prove that there's more in you than there was the week before. I think that can be quite dangerous, and I think that can lead to incredible performances individually, collectively, and then that can produce great things in games, can't it? As we saw probably in that England game a bit, and for me, we saw that against Bristol the following week in November.
Absolutely, yes, you're quite right. Okay, sorry, go on, Richard. Yeah.
No, it's kind of the case that you know that you're better than that performance, and you're probably up your training by 10% over the course of the following week, and you hate everything hard or whatever. It's just you know that you're better than the performance that you had as a team.
Exactly, and I think Richie, as you said, when you know there's more in you, then you've produced it. It hurts as a player, It hurts as a team. The meetings are tough when you're reviewing a game, in a team meeting, and everybody in the room knows that there's more in the team and then they put out in that 80 minutes. It can hurt. It can hurt individuals a lot, but collectively it hurts, and it can be an unpleasant environment, because a lot of people are hurting and a lot of people are feeling the pain. But as you said, that can also, in a weird way, lead to great things as well.
Yeah,
and absolutely. The opposition play a factor as well. I mean, when you look at, we started against France. I think France were the most consistent team in the Six Nations. Everybody else started off a bit shaky. And then, if you look at England's early performances, us beating them, the Calcutta Cup, losing against Scotland, but then bringing France right to the wire at the end. And I think so even Wales improved as the competition went on. But I think France were kind of at their peak at the start. So we got the shitty end of the stick in terms of we were the first to play France. So, it was straight in at the deep end. And I suppose you have to kind of steel yourself when you're playing who's essentially top of the table mentally, that that if there is an element that you lose and you get beaten by them, well, you have to kind of put it into perspective that, look, each week is a separate match, and you kind of compartmentalize it a bit. But the one thing I'd be interested to know, Martn, is now as a player, like, do you avoid social media like the plague? Because I mean, we've seen a lot of, especially with like Sam Prendergast and the Jack Crowley and all this, there's a lot of abuse. Players can come in for a lot of abuse from kind of keyboard warriors on social media, who wouldn't have a clue about the game. You know, like if you met somebody on the street and they said, "Oh, I was watching the game at the weekend. Geez, you had a good first half now," you know, whatever. Fair enough. You know, and the thing is that people wouldn't say things. People wouldn't say the type of thing to your face that they would say on social media. You know, and I think it's kind of become toxic to a certain extent for players, especially young players.
Yeah, so do I watch it? Do I look at the stuff myself? Honestly, I don't avoid it. I don't go searching for comments, searching tweets, or anything like that. But I don't avoid it. There's probably two sides to it, and there's one side to it. Like we are all sports people are in the entertainment business. We are there to be judged every week. Otherwise, professional sport doesn't become a thing in the first place. So, and everybody who's watching, whether they're watching at home or they're watching at the game, everybody there deserves an opinion, and deserves to be able to voice that opinion. There's times when things go over the line and it becomes abuse. Nobody wants that in the game either. But I think I think sometimes where like debate about things and when there's things being discussed and debated a lot about rugby, I think sometimes that can be good for the game as well. Sometimes the game can be called. Sometimes people call the game a bit boring or whatever. But I think if people are debating the game, we're in a good place.
Yeah,
Martin. If anyone, sorry, Darragh, I was going to say, Martin, if anyone calls the game of rugby boring, is not a rugby fan. It is the most unboring game to ever watch. Now there are, let's be honest, there are some shite games where, but Jesus, it's not like roundy ball or wendy ball as we call it.
Exactly.
Rugby is a far superior spectacle.
Game.
Ah, look at here. Listen, we've all played it except for Mike. Mike was in Twickenham in the 1800s, and he thinks he is an expert on rugby. All right. No, Mike Reedy, Mike Reedy, you haven't spoken, Mike. In your lifetime,
incidentally.
No, you said something. Listen, come here to me. Hold on. In your lifetime,
I was playing rugby before you were born.
Oh, for Christ's sake, Mike! In your lifetime, which is a long time. I was going to say eons, but it's not quite eons. But Mike. Six Nations. This. Would you just hold on? This Six Nations tournament is this one of the best tournaments that you've seen, Mike? For pure, unadulterated. Jesus Christ! I didn't see that result happen. Oh my God! I didn't see them beating them. Go on, Mike.
I without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, next year will be the 50th year of my going to the first Five Nations game, and. This, without a shadow of a doubt, is the best Six Nations, Five Nations that I've ever seen, and I've watched the last 50 odd years of it. It was incredible. Almost all the games. No, there wasn't one really poor game. We had a really poor performance against France by our own standards.
What about the Italian game, Mike? What about the Italian game?
The Italian game, we weren't. But you know something, Italy turned out to be a formidable opponent. So. I don't think we were getting better as the tournament went on, which is what you want to see happen. England started off against Wales, did okay. We thought it was going to be everybody, and I genuinely thought they'd be playing for a grand slam against France in the last game, but obviously that didn't happen, and we got better. Personally, I thought one of the best games was Scotland-France game. I could not believe what I was watching. I thought it was one of the best games I've ever watched. And then the following week we have us playing Scotland, and that was an incredible game as well. And then followed by England and France. Absolutely brilliant. Loads of tries. the kind of the defense side of the game seems to have. I mean, South Africa must have been watching that fucking Six Nations, thinking, "What the hell is going on? That's a different kind of rugby than what we play." You know, it's not. It was absolutely fantastic. It was a great tournament, like you said. Unpredictable score lines. I don't think many. I mean, our one against England was the way we got into the game. I know Scotland had beaten England the week before, but we weren't. We were going with trepidation to Twickenham, by the way, thinking this could get embarrassing because we were expecting a reaction from the England-Scotland game. But
yeah.
And then Scotland against France. Who saw that coming?
Yeah, that was
Italy against England.
I don't think anyone did. Okay, Mike. Sorry, Mike. You finish your point? I was going to move on to Richie.
It was definitely the best. I mean, I'll say it was the best tournament in the last 50 years, anyway.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Mike. Richie, your thoughts on this year's Six Nations? The best you've ever seen in your lifetime? Or?
Well, from a personal point of view, no, because I was at the Slam game on Paddy's Day in Twickenham. I was at that game, so from a personal point of view,
were you there?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was at it.
All right, Mike. You're not the only one who goes to fucking
Twickenham. No, I wasn't there.
And claims.
I was lucky enough. As it turns out, my now wife is related to Phil Vickery, so.
Sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that.
He was at the line.
Hold on, he has Cork connections.
He does, yeah.
Jesus.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you the story another day. But for me, the game as a tournament, it's a toss-up between France and Scotland and Ireland and England. It was just an unbelievable. Yeah. Now, as it turns out, the tournament, it finished brilliantly because it literally came down to the last kick of the tournament to win it. That's how open it was.
But then you see, Richie, people will say Ireland should not be relying on other teams to win them.
Yeah, but that's how it goes.
Such a sport, though.
Yeah,
I know. Okay. Sorry, Richie. Have you finished your point? Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Richie. Yeah. Dara Weston, the best Six Nations you've ever witnessed in your life?
I wouldn't say the best in my life, and if I was Welsh or Scottish, I certainly wouldn't say it was the best. Welsh or English.
You're needed.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it wasn't. We didn't win a Grand Slam or anything. Yes, there were exciting games, but I mean, if you look at from an English perspective, they went in there in an unbeaten run. They lost to Scotland for the Calcutta Cup. They lost to us. Who else did they lose against? They lose to no, they lost to Wales.
They lost to Italy as well, yeah.
And Italy. Basically, they came second bottom, and they came fifth. And starting off, our predictions were it'd be France first, maybe England. France, England first, second, whatever order, and then between Ireland and Scotland for third place. And then maybe Italy snapping at the heels in Wales. It'd be between Italy and Wales for the bottom. And it ended up being France at the top, Ireland, Scotland, Italy, England, Wales. So I think, for the Welsh, they're having an awful transition period where, you have some of the international players don't know, is their club going to exist at the end of the season? You still have this debate over the 4 clubs becoming 3.
The Ospreys are on the chopping block.
And then the English, I think there was, they went in there with such, on an unbeaten streak of whatever it was, 12 games, I think it was. And then, they were, they had some, I think all their losses, you would say, were unexpected. I think they were the architects of their own demise in the France game. I think they could have won that had they, instead of 2 minutes to go, box kicking the ball from a ruck, basically up to Ramos. Just pass the ball, stick it up the jumper, keep hold of it for 2 minutes, and then kick it out in the side, and they would have won. So I'd say they're raging on that, because had they won, they would have been above Italy. They would have finished 4th. And that would have been a big, feather in their cap to beat France. So
But
I'd say there was a lot of surprise in the Six Nations. I think we knew Italy are coming up, and a lot of that is to do with is it Steve Aboud? I can't think of his first name now again. The Irish guy who was over there with Conor O'Shea, who did a lot of work on the Italian youth systems.
Go with that.
It's not Steve Aboud, but I can't. His surname is Aboud. I can't think of his first name.
Yeah.
Well, he effectively set up the youth system in Italy.
Exactly. And a lot of the lads like Menoncello, etc., Garbisi are coming through that youth system now. So I think Italy did better. They did better than expected. Wales, some people thought Wales get the wooden spoon. They got one victory, so that was for them. That was a moral kind of thing, because the shame of getting the wooden spoon for a proud rugby nation like Wales would have been terrible. But yeah, I think there was a lot of upsets in it. So in that way it was exciting, but I wouldn't say it was the most exciting I've ever seen.
Probably 2018 is probably I'd say one of the best, the better Six Nations.
Yeah,
okay, a few comments coming in.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Dar. Yeah.
No, go on.
Okay. Schiefer Scanlon, hi Schiefer, evening all. Mike Looms, spot on. The best, not one of the best, but the best Six Nations, Pete. Okay. Here we go. Here he is. He's back again. Sober Stars, the defence in this year's championship has been the worst ever. I would absolutely beg to disagree. Sober Start 167. Shiver Scanlon again. Most exciting Six Nations to date. I have withdrawals. Just brilliant.
Shiver, only 2 weeks until the women's Six Nations starts, Shiver. Sorry, 3 weeks. The 11th of
3 weeks,
April.
yeah. Bevan, who did you bunk up with on the under-20 squad, and what game of that tournament was your favourite to play? That is at you, Martin. Go ahead. Bevan has asked you the question.
Who did I bunk up with? Would have been a few. John McKee, I've roomed with him several times, and including at 20s. Actually lived with him for 5 years, so I was well used to being in his space, and he was a good roommate. My favourite game of that campaign was Ireland versus England. It was the first time the Irish 20s had played in Irish Independent Park, and it was electric. It was probably still to this day one of the best atmospheres I've played in. The crowd, obviously from all over Ireland, but particularly that Cork crowd brought just incredible atmosphere. And it was a close game.
It's such a small ground that it is an intense atmosphere, even though it's a tiny ground. Just the atmosphere, and it is on a full night, is electric.
And Cork people are so loud naturally.
Yeah, well, Dara, you're married to one of them. So,
so am I.
So was Richie. And Richie from Cork originally. He's exiled
from Cork.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but Martin. So, your favorite game was the one you just mentioned there. What about a memorable game that you played for Exeter? I think of. Go on. I'll let you answer.
I think it was my first Prem start, which was last year against Bristol in Ashton Gate. And the reason that was memorable was because we actually set a new Prem record. We ended up losing the game, but it was an incredible game of rugby. We set a record for I think it was 10 tries in the first half, or 11 tries in the first half. So it was just, we were coming up against Bristol, who are obviously all out attack. Attack from anywhere, and it just felt like there was a try every few minutes, but it felt like there's a complete try fest. Obviously my first Prem as well. That was during Harry Byrne, who would be on my 20s team, who I was quite close with. That was during his loan period to Bristol, and he was 10 that day, I believe. So had a bit of fun with him as well.
Oh, very good, very good. Okay. Great stuff. Okay, Mike Reedy, I want to move on from this and get on to what we were talking about. Sorry, I'll tell you what. I want to ask a question. I'm just going to throw it out there. It was a vox pop that I think we all saw, that I think Joe.ie did. And they asked this, personally, for me, I thought this was an absolutely idiotic question that they could ask people coming out of the Scotland game. And I saw them, one of them, I just stood and stopped and listened, right? And I just thought to myself, what an idiotic, stupid reporter. What the hell are you doing? You know. And the question was asked, right? Mike Reedy, and you can see it. If you go onto Joe.ie's website, you'll see the vox pop that they asked the question. Should Raj take over from Faz? Mike Reedy. This was the question they asked.
When are they talking about? Right now?
Well, I assume when his contract expires after the World Cup in 27.
Listen,
next year.
But I just thought I'd throw it out. Just anyone who wants to.
Here's my opinion. The only time anybody should be taking over from Andy Farrell is when he decides he doesn't want to be the manager anymore. It's as simple as that for me.
Yeah, I agree 100%,
okay.
Mike.
Richard, yeah.
Exactly what Mike said. It's not the time or the place.
Dara, would you?
That's a Cork man saying he doesn't want Raj as the Irish. I don't know. Would Raj want to jump in at the deep end, straight into the Irish main job?
He wants the English job.
He's had. Yeah, but
I don't know about that, Mike. I don't know about that.
You see, Mike, if he underperformed as English coach, Irish people wouldn't hate him. You know, it's kind of like. They'd be like, go on, Raj, go on, get another loss, will you? But, you know, I mean, you know, I think players have seen, you know, that he's doing well as a club coach. But, you know, I think he'd be of the generation that he would have seen, you know, poor old Axel, before he passed away, he was getting a tough time from the Munster fans because the team was underperforming.
He was.
And I think from an IRFU point of view, why do you change a winning formula? If you have a coach that's there, I know we were all doom and gloom at the start of the Six Nations and fucking sky's falling, and now we're all like, "Jeez, we're going to win the World Cup," which I wouldn't buy into. But look, we get past the quarterfinals, that'll be a positive thing. But I think, you know, if Andy's willing to extend, I think the IRFU would be mad.
Well, as I said, as I posted, Tara. Sorry to cut across you. Sorry, I don't mean to be rude. As I said, his son Gabriel has 3 years left in Blackrock College.
Yeah.
Right. That would bring him up to the World Cup and very close to the next Lions tour. So let's just see
they have boarding school in Blackrock College, so there's plenty of lads there whose parents are abroad and they're in boarding school.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, all right. Okay. Okay, Dominic Walsh, a Thai RFC. Thank you, Dominic. Yes, Martin is well aware of where he is.
Yes, Dominic.
Thank you. Schaefer Scanlon says, I think the video of Aki reacting to the end of the France v England summed up what we were all thinking. Yes.
I seen that today, yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yes. Mike Sheedy. Mike Sheedy says, was great Six Nations, both teams, Triple Crowns and Young Guns on teams upcoming players and under 20s, Tom Wood. Also Jack Crowley, 2 great at halves, Ireland and Munster, great for Irish. Yes, absolutely, Mike. Yes, thank you. Yeah. I see Joe Lyons has a comment in here, and I'm you know, Joe, he's away with words. But anyway, I'm going to show it up. Mixed feelings on France. Oh, God, he's actually quite sensible today. Mixed feelings on France. For me, they still have a massive mental block on adversity. And when things begin to go south, they are truly world class when on front foot, but so beatable when on the back foot. Geez, Joe, you're making sense tonight. What's wrong with you?
Joe normally makes sense.
Yeah, banging the head, Joe.
That's, I mean, halfway through the tournament, I was wondering whether France were going to revert to their usual tactic of just throw away games to get rid of Galtier. Because we've seen French teams do that before.
I don't think
Martin,
so. Not this time.
Hold on, gentlemen. We have a question from El Presidente, Ger Brennan, for Martn Moloney. Here we go. Ask Martin which he'd prefer playing for: Exeter in Twickenham or Kildare Hurlers in Croker. Go on, Martin. I'll let you answer that.
How are you, Ger? I hope you caught my intro. To answer your question, Ger, I would prefer to play for Exeter in Twickenham, because that could be a huge game for us. We actually have Harlequins in Twickenham in May, so that could be a massive game for us, depending on where we sit at the table at the time. So Exeter in Twickenham, hopefully soon, Ger.
You see, Martin, you've just like Ger has he's got up off his couch. He's gone now. He's making tea. He says, "No, feck
He was
that."
trying to throw you under the bus there, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not listening to that shite anymore.
Although I would love to represent Kildare Hurlers in Croker as well. That would.
Yeah. Oh my God! You just swore. You swore.
The Lily Whites.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let me see, Beva. Before we move on, lads, Wendy ball is so boring. They just have to flick each other and they start to cry. Rugby players get flung down on the pitch 35 kilometers an hour and get straight back up and run it off you.
Who was it who got? Was it Hogg who got given out to by Nigel Owens? Come back and do that.
Yes.
in 2 weeks'
Yes.
Yeah.
For basically taking an awful dive.
Let's not mention he who should not be mentioned. Joe Lyons, think of a lot of the success and excitement of the Six Nations was down to the schedule of the games. They built the excitement and got results and kept the public interested. Yeah, absolutely.
To be fair,
the Thursday night opener, which was a bag of shite.
Well, that was
to go to work the night after a Six Nations game was desperate.
Yeah,
but I think that was to do with the Winter Olympics, wasn't it?
That was the Winter Olympics. But sure, what rugby fan is interested in Winter Olympics?
Can anyone decipher this?
No.
Hi, Karen. Okay.
Sober starts. I wouldn't say sober. Now, anybody with a YouTube name is normally just rugby.
I actually meant to hit this one. Would Raj not be divisive? I don't think so. No,
I don't think so. But also,
he'd try and break the Irish. He'd try and make Cork the seventh nation in the Home Nations Championship. You know, he'd break the People's Republic away.
It's just at the moment we have a coach and we have a bloody good coach. Now Roger's stock is high, and he probably is a future Irish coach. But at the moment, you're way in behind Andy, don't you?
Of course, of course. Okay, let's just move on.
Yeah.
Go on, Darren. Sorry.
What do you
his stock is high in France, and actually, it's you know,
his stock is high.
His stock wouldn't be high with feckin' Leinster fans. The amount of heartbreak he's caused us over the years. So look, grudgingly, yeah, but I mean, he'd say the same about Leinster. Like, I mean, there's a love-hate relationship between Leinster and Munster. When we put on the green jersey, we all come together, but there's great slagging and ribbing of each other when we're wearing blue and red jerseys.
Is it a coincidence that our two most successful coaches neither are Irish, like Joe Smith and Andy Farrell? There's no question about it. They are the two most successful coaches Ireland have ever had, and neither of them are Irish. There's no.
What's your question, Mike?
There's no provincial bias or any nonsense like that from either.
But I think also, Mike, I mean, they've had exposure to the professional game. I mean, how many coaches have we had in the professional era? We've had Eddie, Eddie O'Sullivan, who was a school teacher. Who was it before? Who was the Declan Kidney?
School teacher as well.
So whereas Faz played professionally towards the end of his year for Farrell. Or for Saracens, and Joe Schmidt had experience in professional clubs. So I think it's possibly more that, because the game has evolved an awful lot since it's gone professional. Look at, I mean, Ireland, Scotland, you've players coming in and qualifying under residency. That didn't really happen back in the days of Kidney or, back in those days.
Okay.
You know. So.
Okay, Martin, I want to ask you. There's been a few standout performers. Who was your? I'll tell you
Sorry,
mine.
Peter. Sorry, can you just read Joe Lyon's comment to finish up the Rog debate?
Yes, Joe Lyons. We've never had a Yank as our head coach. Personally, I'd take the orange Yank over Rog. Yeah, thanks, Joe. All right, very good. Martn
He was
Moloney.
born in San Diego, but like
Yeah, I know,
fairness,
I know.
he's not a Yank really. So
I know. Martn Moloney, your player of the Six Nations that you would say, yeah, that's good player, made his kudos, rose on the.
Martin, inside tip here. If you want to get on Peter's good side, just say Finn Russell.
No, Irish player, Martin. Mine is Balakoon. Martin, who's yours?
Mine is, and I'm going to try to be objective, but also there might be some subconscious bias in this. Mine is actually Jamie Osborne. Mine is Jamie Osborne. I think that this championship for Jamie has been incredible, really, considering how much of his rugby, both recently and throughout his career, has been in the centre, and how he obviously has experience at full back, but how he really made that 15 jersey his own over the Six Nations, and he in my opinion, he performed in every game, and I think he showed a lot of people that any Irish 15 over the next few years, like he'll likely be in and around that, because he's quality written all over him, really, in every part of his game. Early
and a massive pair of shoes to fill in terms of Hugo Keenan's boots, who's probably been like the best fullback of the tournament for the past couple of years. Well, aside from Ramos, who's kind of fullback /10.
And you have to think about the pressure the pressure that Jamie had going into that, because obviously Hugo has been incredible for Ireland in that jersey for so long. But I think what Jamie has shown as well, obviously, that he's a great fullback and can cover fullback. But more importantly, everybody knows about Jamie. He can play in every position in that back line apart from 10. He's literally played wing, both centres, wing and fullback. So I think he's become a really, really important player, and I think he had a few, I think 2 really standout performances, but performed in every game.
What Martin? If I was to say to you, give me Jamie's absolute position. Is he a fullback? Is he a winger? Is he a 12? What is his? Now, I have my own ideas in this, but what do you think his absolute preferred position is on the park?
I actually think it's 12 or 13.
Oh, really? Always. I didn't expect you to say that now.
yeah, I think it is the centre. 12 or 13, I'm not quite sure. Maybe 13. He's equally good in both, really. Yeah. Why? What's your thoughts on his out and out best position?
I tell you, Martin, to be honest with you, and the lads know this, I hate the moniker of utility player.
Okay.
I know coaches. I know coaches. Or utility player in general.
No, because forwards can play anywhere. It's only
all right. Okay. All right. Oh, Jesus. You see, I told you, Martin, we have a bit of a laugh about this. So, I hate this idea of a utility player, right? In the last years gone by, we had one. Now we have 2, but we had one dedicated fullback who didn't play any position, but fullback. And that was Rob Carton. Okay. Now we have Hugo Keenan, dedicated fullback. I love the dedication to a particular jersey, a particular position. And I was asking you, Martin, because I'm always interested into what professional rugby players think of their counterpart, well, not counterparts, but their colleagues or whatever, what their preferred position is. And it, as Dara said, it doesn't necessarily spill over into the forwards. It's more so the backs. And I just think, I think Osborne is a fantastic player. And I think if he falls into this utility back, he will go the Frawley route, which I would absolutely hate to see, because I think Frawley is a class player.
It's interesting you say that, because in the programme for the Scotland match, which I was lucky enough to be at, Frawley was listed as a utility back, and Osborne was listed as a full back.
Yeah.
So
you see,
it was obviously clear in the IRFU's head, you know.
Yeah, no, I know. But see, Martin, do you know the point I'm making? That
Yes.
I think players need to battle for an individual position. I don't know how you feel about this, but it's just my thinking of it.
I think, without having given it a huge amount of thought, I think there are certain players out there in World Rugby who have the abilities, and it's not an easy thing to do, especially in the back line, but have the talents and the abilities to be able to do it, and to be able to do it very well. But you have, you think about the things for backs. In order to be able to do that in the back line, you have to be, to do it at an international stage, you've got to be world class in the air. You've got to have world class speed. You've got to have world class decision making. You've got to have world class physicality. There's an extremely small group of players in World Rugby who have the ability to do those things at an international standard. There's probably other things I've left out as well. I think Jamie, without bigging him up too much, I think Jamie is one of the few who have the ability to do that. He has, in every facet of his game, he's top class. And there's not, because you often have players, there are players out there who are world class and incredible in some areas, and maybe other areas they're not quite as good. But I think Jamie, that is one thing about Jamie, and I think that could mean he has the ability to do this. Whether he has the desire to specialise in one position, I'm actually not sure. But I think he definitely has the ability to be that world class utility back and have the ability to cover many positions.
Well,
all right.
At the moment, unfortunately, if we pick up a knock on the wing, a lot of the time you're going to see what do you call him going out onto the wing, Ringrose. In a lot of cases, he's finished on the wing for Ireland and for Leinster as well in recent times. So having that option, it's not a bad option to have.
No, yeah. Mike Reedy, we haven't heard from you in a while.
I don't have any. I mean, I think Jamie Osborne is one of the best players to come on the scene in recent years.
He is. That's not a question, Mike. That's not. He came
on and played as he played most of his rugby as a centre for Leinster, and he went on the South African tour and was outstanding because Keenan obviously was injured, and he was outstanding in both tests, and he's never ever played a bad game for Ireland. He's an absolutely fabulous player. And I'd be comfortable with him playing. And I know you don't like utility players, Peter, but they're important in the game going forward. Reggie's going to fucking follow with you, by the way.
Didn't he get called up to the Lions as well when
he did. He did.
Kinghorn got injured?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's going. How old is Jamie Osborne?
23, 24.
Oh, he is.
He's young. He's young.
I'll tell you one thing you have. He have some boot on him too.
I think Hugo Keenan is going to struggle to get back into that team now, by the way. He's going to struggle to shift him out at 15 short.
I tell you, Mike,
forward.
I tell you, Mikey, you could say this. You could say the same about Mac Hansen. I don't know how Martin feels
No, a
about
shadow
that.
of doubt. There's no way he's shifting Rob Bellicombe. Not a chance.
There's a few players, Martin.
And I mean,
Sorry,
look
Mike.
at
Sorry. Go on, Darren.
No,
Go on.
Tommy O'Brien on the
And I
left.
mean,
wing.
look
Tommy
at,
O'Brien.
you know,
Hold
even
on.
as a Leinster supporter, as great as Osborne was, I would say probably just from coming from relatively nowhere, I would probably pick McCluskey as having been my standout player, Irish standout player. But
I was going to ask you.
I think he has.
Could you just calm down? Could you calm down for a
Oh,
second?
sorry, I thought we were all picking our players.
No. I was going back to Martin for a question now, which I've completely forgotten. So go on. You might as well finish your point.
This is not my fault. Your drink is leading to your memory loss. No, I think no. I mean, for Mike's point, I think there's a lot of lads who are going to have issues now. I mean, when you look at, we started this Six Nations, we had 11. I think it was 11 first choice players injured. You know, so we started with a bunch. A lot of whom hadn't played together internationally, and a lot of lads like Jamie. Like McCluskey, like Balacombe, Tommy O'Brien have really stood up and put their names down on jerseys that traditionally would have just, like, you know, the 12 jersey would have been Henshaw's or Aki's. You know, that would always be the case. Whereas now McCluskey is like really put his name for it. The 11 jersey, you know, James Lowe. But, you know, when you look at how Tommy O'Brien did, you know, so, I mean, I think there's a lot of players who've stood up, and it can only be good for us, especially going into a World Cup next year, that we have cover we have discovered cover through unfortunate injuries for players, but we have discovered cover and people who aren't just going to fade away into the shadows again once the players recover, like Hugo. You know, I think Jamie will still continue to get games at fullback, you know, just to keep going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, Richard Holland, any thoughts on what we're talking about here?
Osborne, McCluskey, and Ty Byrne would be the three that's sticking on. Just, well, Byrne is he's just a war dog, to throw it away to describe him. McCluskey was more the flash, but I think it's what Osborne done, you know, fielding the high balls, and his defence was good. It was the stuff that doesn't necessarily stand out as where his game was. You know, it's making them tackles, it's getting in and putting on the grind that unless you really study and follow rugby, you don't see. You see the big breaks in McCluskey, you do see it. That's what'll stand out, but it's the stuff that you don't see is where a lot of great players, that's where their best talents are.
Yeah, true. Martin, I'm going to read you just some stats here on Stu McCluskey, who I think has really come into his own for both Ulster and Ireland. He's in the running, Martin, for the Six Nations Player of the Tournament. And his stats, he is... Like, this is like for a centre. He's joint top turnovers 1, Martin, at 8. Dominant collisions, he's at 18. Try assists, he's at 6. And he is ranking second for post-contact meters at 105. That, Martin, is just, like, those stats are just nuts, you know. Really, you know, for a fella in the centre of the park to be dominating turnovers. Well, Martin.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. I think he has been an absolute joy to watch. And I think obviously he's been doing, like, whenever we played against Ulster, you'd always have a big circle around Stuart McCluskey because as their kind of talisman, and he's been their talisman for years. But I think what he did in this competition. I'm very surprised that he's not player of the Six Nations with the performances that he's put out. yeah, I think he's been absolutely incredible. 8 turnovers. I wouldn't have even noticed that, but the rest of his game, it's been incredible. Obviously, the highlight moments like the one-handed pass, like the chase back, but also as you said, also 18 dominant collisions, like both sides of the ball. He's probably been the most physical player in the competition. So, I think he's been incredible. I enjoy to watch.
Thank you, Martin. And I often get slagged because when I played, I was an outside centre. I was a 13. So at last, the backs are getting recognition for their turnover ability, Martin. And I can, this is on camera, this is on film, this is being recorded. I can now quote Martn Moloney, turnover ball for a centre in the middle of the park. Thank you. So shuttle, props, and forwards. Right?
As my father used to say, even a blind squirrel finds the odd nut, Peter.
Yeah, that's
broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, right.
Do you think is there something in the water down in Kildare now that the likes of Tyg Byrne, Jamie Osborne, yourself, Ger Brennan, you're all good, top quality rugby players coming out of Kildare?
I'll let Martin answer that.
Also, Athy as well have produced great players in Jeremy Lukeman, Joey Carberry, and there's another.
Oh, of course, yeah, Joey, yeah.
There's another young Irish under-20s scrum half from last year, a guy called Landy Doyle, who's a great player as well, and they're continuously producing great rugby players. But as you said, it's not just Athy. There's some other great clubs in there, Naas, Kildare. I'm not going to name them all, but yeah, there's a lot of great clubs in Kildare producing really great talent.
Actually, what is the crack with Joey Carberry? Anyone know?
No. I know he's. There was rumours of him coming back, but that's a job for the agents, I suppose.
I don't know.
Well,
is he still injured, Martin, or what's the crack, or what's going on?
I believe he suffered a pretty bad knee injury recently in training. I think that was what was released. So hopefully the recovery is going well for him already. He'll be back in soon. Yeah.
Okay. I just haven't heard. Let me see.
I mean, have Bordeaux said they're not renewing his contract because it's.
I don't know. I've no idea.
Because there'd be worse places to stay than Bordeaux, like.
I can think of worse places, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. It's.
Let me just see here. Just comments coming in here. Julian Lyons, McCluskey's stats prove it wasn't just one tackle. I don't think anyone said it was just one tackle. Joe Lyons, think O'Toole needs a mention. Could be the most important import player to emerge. Stu was the next level, but Tom definitely needs a mention. Actually, Martin, now that this has been brought up, thanks, Joe. Tom O'Toole to Loosehead, Porter back to Whitehead.
Your mic is gone, Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
No, we just couldn't hear the last. We could hear you saying Porter going to tight head and O'Toole to loose head, and then.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I beg your pardon. Okay. Sorry, Martin. The question I was asking was O'Toole, Tom O'Toole, great player, as who was it? Joe Lyons mentioned. Tom O'Toole at loose head and Porter to tight head. Would that be an option, Martin, for going forward, leading into the next Rugby World Cup, or how would you see the Irish front row?
Okay, so firstly, the Irish front row, I think this Six Nations, if you were to ask me, like, what is the big positives from it, is that, like, the Irish front row depth we've seen has obviously it's something that has been questioned, but I think all the players involved, both in camp and the ones who played, they've answered those questions, because every prop, I think, who got their chance performed. and obviously they had to rely on quite a lot of depth. But I think every player who and got their chance performed really well. So that's a massive positive. On the Andrew Porter to tight head thing idea, I think he's done it before. He's covered tight head before, and he's probably that type of player who you're obviously not a fan of the utility backs, Peter. But there are certain players out there, certain props who can really comfortably cover both. It's obviously not without its challenges, but there are certain props. For example, Thomas du Toit has been doing it for South Africa and for Bath over the last 2 years, and he's done it at world-class level. Andrew Porter is probably at the stage of his career where he can probably comfortably do that. Obviously, it'll be different whether that's I'm sure there's challenges at international level with that for a player, but I think the quality of Andrew Porter now and where his game's at, I wonder could he do both. He's covered tight head before, and obviously he's a world-class loose head at the moment. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Thomas Clark, but saying that Thomas Clarkson has been incredible at tight head. I think he's had a brilliant campaign, and obviously you have Tyg and Finlay there as well. So there's great depth at tight head, great depth at loose head, and could Porter cover both? I think so.
Okay, and Martin, sorry, I know we're over the hour mark, but as always, we go over time. I just wanted to ask you as well. You just reminded me of something. As I said to you, we tend to go off on tangents. There was a bit of criticism with Andy Farrell that he wasn't bringing young players up. He seems to have quelled that criticism somewhat, in that he has, in fact, brought young blood players up through the ranks. I was going to say McCluskey, but McCluskey isn't young blood. But if you look, he has done that, though, Martin, in good time for the next World Cup. Would you like? I suppose the question I'm asking is Andy on the right track with blooding young players? In your view, you're top of the game. We're not. We're just fans watching it. What do you think? Is Andy doing the right thing with the young players coming up?
Well, I think if a great job in development depth, absolutely, 100%. If you look at, we've obviously just spent a few minutes there talking about the front row. If you look at the front row and the depth that's been created there at Loosehead, the new players who've been given opportunity, Michael Millen, Paddy McCarthy, Jack Boyle.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss out on anyone. But
Jeremy Lockman.
That's a huge amount of depth already. Who's that?
Jeremy Lockman.
Would be another one.
Jeremy Lockman. He's been around for ages. He's gotten great games there. Tom O'Toole at hooker. We're in, obviously. I don't need to list out all the hookers because there's a huge. No. There's a plethora of hookers available, and at tight head now I think we have good depth as well. So. I think there's an awful lot of young players have come through, and probably more importantly than young players coming through, it's young players coming through and performing, so that when they do play, they're not just fitting in and making their first cap, they're adding to the team. Every time there's a new player to play, they're adding to the team. If you look at Edwin Adogbo in his first cap, what did he have? 10 minutes and made 11 tackles. So he's adding to the team. He's not just making his first cap. He's performing.
Murray,
if you look at Darren Murray, exactly. If you look at Darren Murray, he's adding. He comes on and he adds to the team. So I think that's equally, if not more important than having lots of numbers, which I think there is great depth in every position. But more importantly than that, every player who makes a new cap or is on the first few caps are performing.
Yeah, but even this time last year, they were worried about the front rows, in that if you lose Porter and lose Furlong, we were in trouble. And now that seems to have been alleviated somewhat.
Yeah, for sure.
We
Yeah.
were.
And like last year, we
Munster.
had Cian Healy there as well as backup. Kind of like to come on for 20 minutes or something at the end. And sure he could cover the entire front row, hooker, tight head, loose head. But I think that the thing we've spoken about, Peter, is it's kind of I would imagine there's pressure from the IRFU. We've spoken about this before. The Six Nations is, if you win the Grand Slam, it's more valuable financially, not in terms of sponsorship and all that, but the actual prize money is greater than the Rugby World Cup if you get the Grand Slam in the Six Nations.
Yeah.
So when you consider that the IRFU have 4 provinces to support with centrally contracted players and all that, they need a good performance in the Six Nations each year because they need a good chunk of prize money. So I think we can't afford to kind of just throw out a load of young players just because we fancy it in the same way some other countries can.
France.
Yeah, France, exactly, being the prime candidates. But
Yeah.
but that's the what Martin touched on there with Edwin Adogmo. I think, when you think back this time last year, we were going, Jesus, our second rows are getting a bit old now. Yeah, O'Mahony's gone. We've Ryan. And now, I mean, if you look with Big Jack, Big Joe, and we've Edwin Adogbo, 2 young players now who are in their quality second rows. So, I think the future is bright at the moment.
All right.
Even
Okay.
Sean Adogbo seems to be coming through nicely as well.
Yeah,
He does. He does. Yeah, you're right,
There's another
Richie.
one,
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Okay. Kieran Ryan, our last comment until we go on to our last topic, which are the upcoming games. Kieran Ryan, evening, everyone. This next Six Nations, we were on about the players we were missing now. Talking, will these players get back in because so many players took their chance? A great headache for Farrell going forward. Kieran, you've hit the nail on the head there, Albane. You've hit the nail on the head there, Kieran. Okay.
There's nothing I mean, we've seen it's always been the case with our number 10, going back to Humphreys and Raj and Johnny Sexton. There's nothing like 2 top quality players competing for the same jersey to spur both of them on and make them both even better. So I think with the young lads coming through and the seasoned players coming back from injury, it's going to be like a rising tide lifting all boats, I think.
Yeah, good point, Darren. Good point. Okay, folks, we are well over time. Let's just finish on what we normally do, which are the upcoming games. Let's hear your who's winning, who's losing, who's drawing. Martin, I'll leave you last on this. You'll be the last voice on the show. It's basically who do you think is winning, losing, or drawing for the upcoming games? Okay, Mike Reedy, I'm asking you first. The Interpro coming up tomorrow night. Ulster are entertaining Connacht. Mike, tough call.
I tell you what, by the way, that's going to be a tasty game. That's a hard one to call, in fairness. Ulster at home. I'm going to have to go with Ulster at home.
Okay. All right. Sharks are entertaining Munster. Munster travelling.
Oh, God. Jesus. It's going to be a hard out. The Sharks, that's in Durban, is it?
I don't know where it is.
Sea level, at least. I mean, I'm a Munster man. It's hard.
Yeah, I know. Come on, Mike. We haven't got all.
Right. Okay. I'll go with Munster. I can't say an Irish team getting beaten. It's just against my principle.
All right. Okay. And finally, we have Glasgow are entertaining Leinster. Mike.
Oh God. I don't know. Have you seen it? I haven't seen the teams written there. The teams.
No. The Leinster team will be out tomorrow, I'd say.
That's a tough game for Leinster to go to Scotstoun. So there's bucket. I'm going with Leinster. I live in Glasgow, but who gives a shit?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Okay, fair enough. Okay, thanks, Mike. Richard, to you. Ulster are entertaining Connacht. Connacht travelling to Ravenhill.
I fancy Ulster for that one.
Any particular reason, Richard, or just Mike? Is not
at the moment, they're probably they're one of the better. They're just top four from end of the season. So.
All right. Okay, Sharks are entertaining your team, Richie. Munster.
Yeah, I can't see Munster winning it. I'll be honest with you.
I can't
Okay.
either. But
All right, fair enough. And Mike, would you ever stop mumbling? I don't know what you're. Stop it. Right now, Richie. Last but not least, Glasgow are entertaining Leinster.
I think Leinster should just about clip that one.
Depends what team they send out, Richie. Depends what
This is
team
true.
Leinster.
This is true.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Richie. Thanks, Mike. Dara, to you.
Yes.
Ulster entertaining Connacht. Who's winning, losing, drawing?
So, I mean, Ulster are going to be without a good few lads from international duty. Connacht also. I think Connacht could actually pip it. I think Stuart Lancaster has really revitalised the squad there, so I think Connacht could do it.
All right. Okay. Sharks are entertaining Munster.
Even if I wasn't contractually obliged by being married to a Cork woman, I couldn't support a South African team. I'd have to say Munster.
Okay. And okay, fair enough. And Glasgow are entertaining Leinster, Dara.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I obviously want to straight away say Leinster, being a Leinster supporter, but you know, Franco Smith has a good team there in Glasgow. I think it'll be a tight game. I'd say if Leinster win, it'll be 3 to 5 points. So,
okay, all right. Thanks, Dara. Thank you, gentlemen.
And the other thing we should mention just before we go on to Martin is, did Natai win the match there in the Towns Cup, and they're up against Wexford, I think, in 2 weeks or next week. So
Wanderers.
Yes, they're in the quarter final of the Towns Cup again. So hopefully we can do similar to what we did last year in the Towns Cup.
That's it.
It's a massive game.
We get a picture of Jared drinking something.
I'm very disappointed because Jared Brennan normally texts me this sort of information. Anyway, we shall leave it. Martin, you are the.
What more do you want? Got you this week's guest. Jesus, don't be giving out about Jared.
I would never give out about Jared.
Il Presidente.
Jared is a legend. Martin, to you, the last voice on the show. Your predictions for the upcoming games. Ulster at home to Connacht. Martin, who do you see winning or losing or drawing that?
I think that could be a very close game. I think both teams are playing unbelievable rugby at the moment. Connacht are playing a great brand of rugby at the moment. Ulster are extremely well drilled and playing really good attacking rugby. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it could be very, very close. I'm going to say an Ulster win just because I saw today on Instagram that they've been on like a quite a long home win streak. So assuming that game is in Ravenhill, which I think you said, I'm going to go with Ulster just because once a team gets that home streak, it sometimes can be hard to break.
Yeah, no. I tend to agree with you. Okay, Sharks, Martin, entertaining Munster. Munster traveling all the way down there.
Yeah, it's a very difficult place to go and play, especially. I don't think there's any reason why Sharks won't have the majority of their Springboks, and when they have all the Springboks, that Shark Tank is a very hard place to play. So unfortunately, I think Munster are playing great rugby at the moment, but I think that Sharks might just have a bit too much for them.
Okay. Very good. Okay, and finally, Martin, Glasgow are entertaining Leinster.
Yeah, that's actually going to be another epic game, I think. Two of the top performers in the URC. Glasgow, obviously, I think Glasgow are still top, and they're playing really great.
Ulster are now second.
Ulster are second. Glasgow are still top, I believe, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So yeah, that is going to be an epic game. So I will be tuning into that.
Go on, you have to call your winner, Martin. There's no copping out. You have to call your winner.
I'm going to call Leinster on that.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to call Leinster.
In theory, he can do a Mike Reedy and sit on the fence.
I never.
No, he's not.
You're the fence man.
No,
You can say-
really
you
has
can always say a
really
draw.
has feckin' splinters in his hole from sitting on the fence.
No, he's had 2 hip replacements
How,
from sitting on.
over the course of the season, how many draws are you allowed to call?
You can call as many as you want. You can call it
Yeah.
if you think a game is going to be a draw, Martin, you can call it
You
a
just
draw.
call it.
Now I haven't.
Who are
If
you
you're
playing
asking,
this weekend, Martin?
But your credibility is gone out
We
the
have-
fucking window if you call it a draw.
We have Sale Sharks at home this week, so hopefully
They're why
currently
you're
fifth
above
in the
them,
table.
aren't you? Yeah.
We're above them. We're fifth in the table, but we're 1 point, I think, from fourth. So it's kind of like every game now from now till the end of the season would be a big game. So it's good
Yeah,
position.
are you
I
playing,
was
Martin?
looking there earlier.
Are
I think
you
Bristol
picked?
are on like 37 and you're on 35. So between third and fifth, there's only 2 points. And then for
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
supposed money that was being put into them, Newcastle are bottom. With like a
Yeah,
points
but they'll have
minus
a bloody good team next year as
272.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Come here, Martin. Are you picked? Are you playing at the weekend, or do you know? Or
This weekend, I don't think I'll be playing this weekend, but not 100% sure. Hopefully the next 2 weeks. So we have two rounds of the Premiership now, into the last 16 against Munster, into hopefully a quarter final if we win, into another 2 rounds of Prem. So lots of big games coming up. So hopefully get to play as many of them as possible.
absolutely, and we will certainly be cheering you on as long as you're not playing against Munster, Connacht, Leinster, or Ulster. Okay.
we
Thank you very
might
much, Peter.
cheer him. Well, Kildare be cheering him on, and most of Leinster if he's playing against Munster. So.
Well, actually, I'm not going. No, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. I'm not going there. Anyway, all right, okay. Listen, we're way over time, folks. Our collective thanks are to you for watching and for your comments and your input and all that sort of thing. So, thank you for you watching. Also, our thanks are to my colleagues in this endeavour. Mike Reedy, Richard Holland, and Dara Weston, and also our special guest. He has been an absolute gent. It's been a pleasure chatting with him. Martn Moloney, thank you so much for your time. You're an absolute gentleman. It's been a pleasure having you on, and we wish you and Exeter all the best for the future. Thank you very, very much. Cheers, buddy.
Thank you very much, Peter, and thank you, Mike, Richie, and Darryl for having me on. I really, really enjoyed the last hour of chat. So thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Or you
Mark.
might come on at the end of the season when you have some cups to show us.
Absolutely,
Yes, please, God, Darryl, I'd love to do that.
Good luck to Exeter
Yeah.
for the rest of the season.
All right,
Thank you
take
very
care,
much.
folks.
Cheers.
Good luck. Good night.
Cheers, lads.
Thank you very much.